Hello, my name is Ashley Share. I'm the founder and CEO of ShareLove Fund, and today I greet you from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, as we analyze the Gita for our RYT 300 yoga teacher training. Now let us conclude with what we've learned from the Gita and just try to tie it all up in some takeaways. So the Gita is one of the most powerful ancient scriptures in Sanskrit, and it's one of the most powerful ancient scriptures of ancient India. And people debate, is this a philosophical text? Is it theology? Is this religion? Is this metaphysics? Talking about how to sort of transcend through meditation. Or is this just really beautiful poetry like the Iliad or Odyssey, Homer's tales? Others may say that this is a practical manual for daily living. So as you know, ShareLove Fund is a program developed to train incarcerated women to earn a yoga degree so that they may have a livelihood that respects their mind, body, and soul should they be released, or to be a teacher in their custodial facility and offer the gifts of yoga to others, and also have a way to center themselves in a productive way through work. And thinking about this in a practical sense, that the Gita might be a guide for practical daily living, we can see how the lessons are applicable in any age. So as we discussed earlier, the Gita was developed in 1000 BCE, and now 3,000 years later, we're still studying it. So there's certain quintessential parts of being human about the struggle within, which continue to resonate even for us modern readers. In particular, we can divide some takeaways into three parts. The first part is this idea to put others before ourselves. The Gita shows us how dwelling on ourselves can build walls between ourselves and others. Aruna, when he is focused on the sorrow that it brings him to fight his cousin, he's unable to perform his duties as a warrior. So by focusing on others, what is the will that we are trying to do? How do we achieve the greatest good? By focusing on others, we're able to maintain focus and discipline and actually achieve a desired result that has meaning. Those who keep thinking about their needs, their wants, their plans, their ideas cannot help but continue to feel lonely and insecure. So, think about it. The more wants you have, the more needs you have, then the more things can kind of mess up your day. Like if you're dead set on having peas for dinner, and then you don't have peas for dinner, then that can really shake you up a bit. So if you kind of have the attitude that you're going to make the best of any situation, then sort of there's less stuff that can go wrong. This simple but effective technique is to learn to put other people first. You can begin with a circle of family or friends or your immediate environment, roommates, where there's already a community or a basis of love to build on. For example, with people living together, when they try to put each other first, for example, they're not only moving closer to each other, they're also removing barriers of their ego prison, and that deepens the relationship with everyone around them as well. I like to think of this example that I read about Afghan refugees. They were living on a refugee camp, and the UN provided a water truck. Everybody rushed to the water truck to fill up their jug. One man who was first got his whole jug filled up. Other people in line were worried that the water might run out, so they tried to take his jug from him. In the struggle, all the water was spilled. Then the man tried to make his way to the front of the line again, and by the time he reached the front, all the water had already been dispensed. Thirsty in the desert of Pakistan, where the Afghan refugee camp was, he shook his empty water jug in the dust, obviously really upset. He's thirsty. It was really sad to me that the water was wasted, that if everybody put themselves first, there still might be thirsty people in the refugee camp, but at least no water would have been wasted. Every single drop of water that was given would have at least been used to save a life. So it's true that being selfless might not always get you personally ahead, but when we're not selfless, we all suffer. So the options are kind of like, should everybody suffer or just a few people? And I think that we should try to limit the suffering as much as possible, and we can limit that suffering by helping others. It also feels really good to help others, and so that is actually a real consolation prize. And also, sometimes when we help others, sometimes that can come back to us. So the situations are complicated. There's no exact right or wrong. It's just that from time and time again, when people are selfish, history has shown that it's actually hurt the group as a whole. So, this concept of together we rise, promoting and helping others may just be the best way to help yourself as well. The second takeaway we can get from the Gita is about spiritual fellowship. And spiritual fellowship, this can be in a religious sense, or it can just be a sense of compassionate feeling. At ShareLove Fund, we're not advocating any particular religious belief. When we are trying to change our lives, we need the support of others with the same goal. There is an expression that says you cannot fix a problem with the mindset that created it. So when you're really trying to get yourself out of a rut, and this is what I'm calling spiritual fellowship, but you can call it community fellowship. It doesn't need to be religious. But when you're really trying to get yourself out of a rut, it's important to surround yourself with positive people who are also sharing that same common goal. You create a synergy of minds, and you can really create change that way. So for example, if you want to get deeper into this Gita, which we've just studied the 700 verses, you may want to create a group. For our incarcerated clients, you can create a meditation group in your custodial facility. And in our RYT 200 materials, there's a meditation kit which explains how to create a meditation group in your custodial facility. By putting yourself with like-minded people, it helps you, because often when we make positive change for ourselves, we take one step forward and 2 steps back. It is human nature to want to give up, and lasting change takes time. Easy come, easy go. These things that we really work towards are meaningful and stick. And so you don't necessarily need a community on those good days, but you certainly need it on those setback days to keep you going. So maybe in the beginning, you go deeper into self-knowledge, and studying maybe the Gita for your yoga teaching degree. Maybe you're studying something else. I'm not trying to brainwash or promote any one thing. I'm trying to offer a buffet, and people can take what they want to propel their own self forward. You know what you need most. On the good days, of course, you're self-motivated. But on those bad days, maybe you do self-study because your friend dragged you along, and that's enough. And that kind of gets you over the hump. It's important to share not only times of study with like-minded and positive individuals, but also times of relaxation. The third part we can get from the Gita is that spiritual reading or reading of ancient texts is a really great way to sort of be a reboot button. And the idea is that these texts have been around for over 3,000 years. Why? Something about it resonates. Something about it seems fundamental to the human characteristic. So the idea is that, maybe devote a half an hour a day to study of an ancient text. Maybe it's the Gita. Maybe it's the Bible. Maybe it's the Odyssey by Homer. Maybe it's something else that resonates. But the idea is that there's so much information out there, but we don't really know what's meaningful. And one way to sort of test what is worth your time is to see, hey, what has lasted thousands of years? What was so important that, like, when there's wars and things like that, people bothered to retell the story and rewrite the story over and over again so it wasn't lost. So classic texts have been around for a reason. So it's nice to study them because it kind of brings us back home. Because some of the modern things that we watch are just maybe exciting to the here and now. But the ancient texts really go to the core of humanity because these people lived in very different times with very different situations. But what remains, the thread that makes the story pertinent to us today is the core values it gets at for humanity. That is really a way to sort of continue this deep sense of self-reflection. In short, you can take these lessons and use them to put other people first as number one. Second, you can create a group in your custodial facility or in your community to positively propel you to continue this study by surrounding you with like-minded people. And third, you can continue to read classics or ancient texts on your own, whatever they may be, because they really drive at quintessential human values when you take away all that contemporary fluff. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a blessed day. Namaste.